after 2 week break, Everton away is always the worst game to come back to. Why I say this is because if you look historically, what happened at Goodison Park last season was that we escaped with the draw. It was probably the first time under Ruben Amorim that I thought maybe he's not the guy. This was last February, by the way, and we were down 2-0. And the only reason we did not lose that game was because Beto missed an open chance. Had he not missed that chance, had Bruno not scored his free kick when that was the first shot on target we had all day, we would be looking at a 2-3-4-5-0 because that's how the season was going. And you can even take it back all the way to the times of Ole. When his first season, he was playing absolutely superb. However, once we lost to Arsenal in the FA Cup, then we lost to Barcelona, the entire season just fell apart. And during that run, Everton was the team that we went to in the European spots, but they were never challenging. And guess what happened? We lost 4-0 at their place. Richarlison scoring two still hurts me from range against De Gea. De Gea, that was the time when De Gea was doing an Onana, spilling the ball whenever he should have been catching the ball realistically. And you go a few more years before, when John Stones for Everton scored against us. That was another time we lost 4-0 at Goodison Park. To be frank, Goodison Park can be a very scary place for us. However, we've also done the greatness like Garnacho's bicycle kick, which really catapulted him into a starting position for us and really wasted 2 years of our time. However, Goodison Park is not easy. And let's look back at what happened this season. Guys, remember, this is the same season. As much as we might be on Cloud9 right now, it is the same season where under Amorim, we were facing 10-man Everton for nearly 60 minutes, yet we lost that game. We lost at Old Trafford. And that, funnily enough, is one of the only 2 games that Lomans has lost for us. So let's not take Everton lightly. In fact, I would say this is one of our more tougher tests, especially away from home, for the rest of the season. Because if you can win at Everton, a team that is really doing pretty well, a team that has been able to hold some pretty decent teams to results, what we have to do is pretty much do what Michael Carrick has been doing in the last few Old Trafford games at least, and what we did against Arsenal. Do not underestimate Everton. Let them have the ball at times. Let them try to do something to us, though they're going to try countering us as well. The main thing we should do is start Benjamin Sesko up front. Now, why start Benjamin Sesko up front? Well, it's not a brain teaser. It's pretty obvious why. Because as good as Mbomo is, as good as he is in scoring clutch goals when we need him, when we need some control in the team, Mbomo's not the guy. Why is that? It's pretty simple. You look at Mbomo, his whole game screams channel runner. And channel running is good only when you have another team that has a high line pushed up against you. When they have a high line pushed up against you, like in the case of Manchester City, for example, Mbomo is the perfect person to exploit those spaces in behind. But in this game, in Everton's case, we're going to have a lot of the ball. Whether we like it or not, we're going to have a lot of the ball. We're probably going to be able to control the possession better as well compared to West Ham. The Everton game is definitely going to be easier than the West Ham game. However, that does not mean we're going to necessarily win. The reason being, we have to keep the ball with purpose, right? Something like we did against West Ham. However, the ball has to be faster moving and we have to put more crosses into the box. We have to be more direct with what we're trying to do. It's all good trying to pass the ball into the net, kind of like how City used to do back in the day, but it's not always going to be possible. And especially against Everton, a team who are surprisingly lethal in a way, we cannot afford them too much space. And if we overcommit, there's always going to be the danger of Iliman Ndiaye on the left wing. Now, since it's an Everton game anyways, I might as well talk about one of the best left wingers in the Premier League, that is Iliman Ndiaye. Now, if we were to anyway invest in a winger, I've been saying this even before we were linked to Semenyo. As much as I do like Semenyo, as much as I think he's a goal poacher and the way he's playing for City, he would have actually done a pretty good job for us. However, I still felt back then, and I still feel now, Iliman Ndiaye is the one winger we should go for. Because not only can he play off the wing, but he can equally play well as a 10. So, if we want to give Fernandes a rest, in certain games. Let it be the Champions League if we reach there. Then maybe he plays in the Champions League and Bruno plays in the Premier League. And maybe another day you want to give Cunha a rest and you play Cunha and Elliman and Di and you have Dorgu to add to that. And suddenly you have options all around the wings and in the center. And now you can really freely play in four competitions. And the main attribute with NDI is kind of like what Cunha has. He has that maverick gene. At the same time, the guy with keeping the ball at his foot, his dribbling is next level, guys. His dribbling is going to cause problems to Dalot, is going to cause problems to Mazraoui, most likely Dalot, who's starting on that side. And when he skins him alive, we need to be able to cover that side of Lamens because we know the same goal, the repetitive goal which has been happening all throughout the season. You look at Dewsbury Hall, cuts into the right, curls it top corner against Lamens. Morgan Rogers cuts in off the right and curls it top right. The same thing happened with Kevin for Fulham. He cut in to the right and top right corner, bent it past Lamens. Is that a Lamens problem? No, it's not. It's more of a defensive issue where once Dalot gets skinned, then there's a lot of gap left between whether that is Casemiro or Kobe on that side, along with the centre back. Now we have to close down that space. That left wing spot is going to be deadly. Especially, let's just be thankful that Grealish isn't playing. If Grealish was playing, add to all that in Dewsbury Hall, add to that Iliman and Dia, Beto, they already have a potent attack now. If you add more players to that, well, it just gets a lot more trickier. Well, the good thing is that we have had more time with Carrick, and we've had 2 more weeks where we could really fix our issues against West Ham. Now, did we necessarily play bad against West Ham? That's a totally different issue. What do you guys think? Because I don't really think we played all that bad against West Ham. The issue with West Ham game was that they've played a compact block to a level I've not seen in the Premier League. Even Arsenal don't play that compact a block. And it was a case of how the hell are you going to break them down? That was exactly one of those moments where you needed some Sesko brilliance. And that was the only way we were going to score because West Ham were resolute. They played that compact game perfectly. They got a goal. They scammed a goal. They should have won based off the game plan that they'd set out. However, we got a draw, which is something that we normally don't get. And this is what gives me confidence to even say that we might beat Everton. We could beat them 2-1. We could beat them 1-0. Probably not going to be 1-0 because we somehow do manage to concede every other game. So if De Ligt isn't back, which he probably will not be, we still don't have defensive resoluteness. And as good as Maguire is, as good as Lisandro Martinez has been in possession, that Lisandro Martinez is going to get exposed against Beto. Let's be realistic. While we can play the ball through, and we need Martinez for that possession ball, by the way, but relying on him to mop up defensively is a big mistake. Now, Lomens is always reliable. Like that cannot be understated. Now, Lomens' impact can only work if it's a one-on-one, right? We've seen that from distance, the guy gets beat, but that's not even his problem. It's because if the midfielders and the defense don't close the spaces in, the players literally have the time to calculate and perfectly aim it top corner, which is why Kevin scored, which is why Morgan Rogers scored and Dewsbury Hall earlier in the season. It's the same finish, top corner, that always beats Lamens. And apart from all this, the one thing we have to focus on is the manager himself, David Moyes. He knows how to get a result against us because he's done it in the past for West Ham multiple times. He even did it at Old Trafford earlier in the season. Now, we should never discount the fact that Everton just can come and, they can even take us on the front foot by surprise and blitz us 2-0, 3-0 in the first half. Very possible. However, with the way Carrick's been setting up, with the way that we have improved as a team, the way that Kobe and Casemiro can dictate from the midfield and push our wingers on, as long as we do not play Mbomo as our striker, as long as we do not play Dalot and maybe we put on Mazraoui at right back, we have a chance of blitzing Everton as well. As much as they may seem like the better team, or even in parts a really competent team, we can expose their flaws that come with a short keeper. Pickford isn't bad, not to say at all, but one thing we know that we can exploit is if Sesko is given a cross, the guy's movement in the box is insane, right? I'm not going to say he's Cavani, but he's giving me glimpses of Cavani with some of his movements, some of his finishing. Watch his goals against Burnley, watch his goal against Fulham, and his goal against West Ham. It's a catalogue of finishes, none same to the other. And this difference in finishing, guys, it is pretty special. It is not something Zirkzee has. It's not something that Hoyland has had, any striker in the past has had really for us. Because even if you want to point out Anthony Martial, he played more like a winger, like a left forward, right? And he had those left forward kind of finishes where he was bending it bottom corner. Insane finishes. However, I wouldn't quite say number 9 finishes. The only one I can put on par with what Sesko has been doing this season is Cavani. Because some of the finishing, like you can miss goals. You can miss chances. It happens every game to the top strikers in the world. Haaland went almost 8 goals without scoring. Does that even mean that he's a bad striker? Does that mean that he's not going to win Golden Boot? Every striker misses chances. Every striker will sometimes take their chances, maybe when they don't have to even. But Sesko's movement is what I observe. Even you look at the goal that we scored, the second goal against Spurs, all down to Sesko. Because it's Sesko's movement into the box, pulling a man away that allows Bruno Fernandes to go through, and the cross from Dalot's perfect onto Bruno, and Bruno taps it in. And guys, the movement from Sesko has been so underrated. I'm thinking people don't really understand how big of a player Sesko can be for us. And the way that he's showing is his level of performances are already they've surpassed anything that I expected personally. Because I thought it's going to be another player who's going to have time to adjust. Here's what probably going to be a controversial take, but I'm saying, as good as Mbomo's been, as good as his goals have been, as crucial as they have been, I would say the better player has not even debatably has been Sesko. If you look out of possession, Mbomo does offer a lot, right? With the running, with the channel running, he does offer a lot. But when we talk about in possession, when we talk about when we're trying to manufacture an attack, it's Sesko who wins by a country mile. Let's not even talk about his athleticism when it comes to his jumps. Some of his ball wins are not replicable. And we have to use Sesko with his crossing. Like Dorgu has started to do it. Just as he started to use Sesko's movement, Dorgu becomes injured. So we have to now look at other outlets. Cunha is another one who does put a cross in, and we need to start using that outlet more. Ahmad needs to start putting crosses in instead of trying to always pass the ball short. Though he's a clever player, he does not put a cross in. And we need Mazraoui, or even if it's Dalot, put more crosses into the box. Put Luke Shaw, ask him to bomb forward. Don't ask him to invert, because inverting Luke Shaw does not make any sense. The guy, as much as we may think, right? Some people may say even he should be sold. I would say we should keep him for the reason that if you look at his Roberto Carlos season in 2021, he was bombing down the left, but he was putting crosses in. Luke Shaw's crossing ability is very underrated, and we should be exploiting that way more than we do right now. And here's what I'll say. So if we field a team of Shaw, Maguire, Mazraoui, and Martinez, and then we play Lamens as keeper, and then we play Kobe, Casemiro, Bruno, and we play Cunha off the left, play Ahmad off the right, and we play Sesko at striker, I don't see how we can't beat Everton. But I'm not even going to count the other factors which don't really play into the game. But if we really look at what matters is the team that Everton pick, the team that United pick. If we pick the team that we need to pick, we pick Sesko, we pick Mazraoui, I think we win hands down. Because the rest of the team really picks itself, and the other 9 players really deserve their roles. But it's these 2 positions. We need to drop Mbomo. And you know what? Mbomo can come on at the 65th minute for whoever is underperforming. Sometimes it's going to be Ahmad. And if Ahmad's underperforming, you drop Ahmad, you put Mbomo in. And you know what? Mbomo, a fresh Mbomo off the bench, might actually do a lot more work than an Mbomo who's really just running in a graveyard shift up front. Having said all that, what do you guys think is going to happen in the game Everton against United? I'm going to go for Everton 1, Man United 2. And we're going to nick it 2-1, but there's going to be a nervy finish all the way. And then, yeah, we're going to probably be talking more about the referee than anything else, I hope. So what do you guys think? Comment down below, and I'll see you all in the next one.